Hey everyone, welcome back. We're about to head into episode 8. We had the infamous Angel episode last time. I think Jeanet had a little bit of a clue on elements of what he could be, but there's always a little bit of surprise when it turns out he actually is 240 plus year old vampire. We are about to
Yeah.
head into episode 8, and we're just going to get straight into it. Oh, wait, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And of course, please follow our YouTube channels and our social medias where you can see other shows. And as you know, Good Omens is on Janae's channel right now, and I've heard it's really, really good.
It is.
Family.
Oh.
Caro mio. Mi ami.
Oh.
Ti adoro tutto.
Tu hai il mio amore.
Oh.
Abbiamo bisogno di fare il circolo.
I'm assuming he's the equivalent of a watcher, maybe?
Yeah, I've never actually thought about that. He looks like a monk. So maybe.
Ti comando. Vieni!
The special effect pick up on the demon, I felt.
Yeah.
Preghiamo che questo libro hai mai letto più, che il demonio Moloco hai mai lasciato più fuori nel mondo.
I'm assuming that's what we're dealing with today. Oh, great.
Oh, great. A book. Willow pile.
When I've examined it, you can skim it.
Scan it, Rupert. That's scan it.
Skin.
He seems so facetious.
Fascinating. I happen to believe that one can survive in modern society without being a slave to the idiot box.
That's idiot.
TV.
The printed page is obsolete. Information isn't bound up anymore.
Say that to the bookseller who still
The only
sold books
reality is virtual.
a month
If you're
ago.
not jacked in, you're not alive.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up for today.
I've just got a few more. I'll hang for a bit.
Cool, thanks.
Xander, you want to stay and help me?
Are you kidding?
Right, as if Xander would say.
Oh, I love you, but bye. Buffy, wait up.
No sympathy. Poor Willow. This is very interesting.
What is it? Cinematic, did it say?
And of course, she didn't realize that the page is now empty. Are we gonna get like Tom Riddle's diary before there was a Tom Riddle's diary? Like, what's going on? I think my biggest question is if the computer that he now resides in is destroyed, would it free him or would it kill him forever?
Or hear me.
Actually, very good question.
I tried your line like a million times.
Oh, I was talking.
Talking to. Okay, that's it. You have a secret, and that is not allowed.
I sort of met someone
No, you did
This is
not.
so important. When did you meet?
last week after
It's
we
in
did
her
the
locker.
scanning project in the library.
Does he go here? What's his name? Have you kissed him? What's he like?
No, Malcolm, no, and very nice.
No,
I
the
wasn't
thing
sure
that
there was
she's
anything to tell.
pen pulling
But
with is a
last
thing of
night,
evil.
We talked all night. It was amazing. He's so smart, Buffy, and he's romantic, and we agree about everything.
Oh,
That's
what's he look like?
creepy.
I don't know.
Does it involve a midget and a block of ice?
I met him online.
I want to hear that
What?
story.
Online? Online for what?
He's a sweetie.
What should I write back?
At least the setup makes sense now.
Let's focus here, okay? What do you actually know about this guy?
Oh, see, I knew you'd react like this.
Pixelated it is.
It could be different.
Just like my webcam right now.
But that is quite smart. It would have been less creepy if he couldn't access a webcam.
You find it less creepy. I find it very creepy.
No, if he couldn't access a webcam, he would only have he would have even more limited resources.
What if you guys get really, really intense and then you find out that he has a hairy back?
He doesn't talk like somebody who would have a hairy back.
Okay.
No.
Either.
This is why I didn't want a
I'm
Willow
just
centered
trying to make sure
episode.
it's good enough for you.
Because
I
this
think
is
it's great that
painful.
you met someone.
Guess who?
Xander?
Yeah, but keep guessing anyway.
Xander.
Oh, Malcolm, right? Yeah, I heard. But you're gonna be missing out. I'm planning to be witty. I'm gonna make fun of all the people who won't talk to me.
See that she's having her own life a little bit away from Xander, but
Finally.
I just wish it wasn't with a demon.
So, are you going to the Bronx tonight?
Yeah.
Oh,
Swings a
probably
roundabout.
not. You probably have some vampire slang or some lamer endeavor like that, don't you? Everyone deserts me.
A petulant child.
I mean, sure he says he's a high school student, but I can say I'm a high school student.
You are.
Okay, but I can also say that I'm an elderly Dutch woman. Get me? I mean, who's to say I'm not if I'm in the elderly Dutch chat room?
I guess it could be anybody. He could be weird or crazy or old or he could be a circus freak. He's probably a circus freak.
Yeah,
I love how that's the worst conclusion to come to.
Hello, axe murdered by a circus freak. Okay, what do we do? What are we doing? Xander, you get me started. We are totally overreacting.
No,
She
no,
thinks
actually
that in this
not.
moment is, and still to this day, is very correct in what he said.
Yeah.
I'm jacked in.
She does such a good job of being incredibly
jacked in.
freaky.
It's just kind of... Oh.
You're having an expression.
Yeah, but you're also having an expression that I'm a little bit worried
But if
about.
I was, you'd be saying, this just isn't like you. I just want you to be sure. To meet him face to face. In daylight. In a crowded place with some friends.
I mean, that's advice that I would give till today.
Uh-huh.
A big deal if I blow off a couple classes.
I thought you said you overslept.
Uh-huh.
Malcolm said you wouldn't understand.
Oh, that sounds very culty.
It sounds extremely controlling. Like she's now talking via the means of him.
Yeah, and he's poisoning the well in
Yes.
regards to the views of her friends.
But they write the profile themselves, right? And so they could say anything they wanted.
Sure.
Exactly.
I had knowledge. Because you see, Willow's got this boyfriend, Malcolm, and to tell you the truth, I
Leave
think...
Willow alone.
What do you mean?
That's none of your business.
Was IP tracking possible in that time?
I'll talk to you later, okay?
Imagine probably
I've got work to
how
do.
intelligent people can be.
I really don't know how to advise you. Things involved in the computer filled me with a childlike terror.
But
It
what
doesn't
I
come
want
from
to
the
say
generation of computers.
yeah.
Follow Dave. What, in dark glasses and a trench coat? Please. I can work this out myself.
She's gonna tell him in doctor glasses and a trench coat, isn't she? Oh my
Your subtlety doesn't work with Buffy.
She's too close. What do I do?
I think it's maybe trying to imply how like addicting or addictive internet and so on can be.
Also,
So
how
like it spirals quickly.
yeah, and how dangerous online can be, and anyone could be anything because you don't see them.
And what do they need Dave for?
Something
school
about
kid.
computers, right? I mean, he is off the chart smart.
Yeah, and there's always an off the chart smart adult to consult if you really want to.
I can just tell something's wrong. My spider sense is tingling.
Your spider sense.
Pop culture reference. Sorry.
Still at a standstill.
I just came by to check your new database, make sure your cross-reference table isn't glitching, because I'm guessing you haven't gone anywhere near it. You here again? Kids really dig the library, don't you?
We're literary.
To read makes our speaking English good.
Xander.
Our speaking English is good.
I panicked, okay?
I've never felt this way about
Do
any.
you think we should meet?
I think we should soon.
I'm nervous.
Me too.
I'm not. Just makes trouble. That's why she got kicked out of her old school.
You know that?
I feel like this
How did you
is
know that?
yeah.
You must have mentioned it.
Like Willow
Come
would
on,
mention
Willow.
that.
I guess.
Put two and two together.
Well, I think you'll be very happy here with your musty old books.
These musty old books have a great deal more to say than any of your fabulous web pages.
Points out the fact that it's empty. Thank
This one
you.
doesn't have a whole lot more to say. What is it, like a diary?
Hear you.
Yay.
And,
What is it?
Oh, but I like the little red jewelry things to
Just
represent
this is
his
the first time I've
eyes.
noticed that. Little jewelry eyes, like the glowing eyes. Yeah, that was really well done.
Willow was looking for you.
Good, I need to talk to her.
Too jittery
Do
for
you
me
know
to
where
want to
she is?
go and listen to anything you've got to say,
She
mister.
said she'd be in the girls' locker room.
Why on earth, if you're gonna murder her, choose the girls' locker room? Where anyone could come in at any second.
Been to this? Well, you haven't. Neither of us have. But come on, this high school, like, no one's anywhere at certain points.
Are you trying to drown out sound or electrocute her?
Will?
What are you doing? Oh my word, that looks straight out of a horror movie. Oh, electrocution. Technically,
Buffy, get out!
technically those are leather shoes, so she should be fine. But yeah, better not to find out.
Clearly, yeah. And I think her having Slayer strength kind of saved her there.
New world, Dave. Knowledge, power. I can give you everything. All I want is your love.
No.
It's very cult.
Sorry, I've been a terrible person.
Oh
I'm a
no.
coward, and I can't go
Run,
on
he's
living
about
like
he's busy
this.
writing you a suicide note.
Forgive me, Mom and Dad.
does this look familiar to either of you?
Yeah, sure. Looks like a book.
Yeah. Well done.
A very deadly and seductive demon. He draws people to him with promises of love, power, knowledge. Preys on impressionable minds.
Like Dave's.
Dave and who knows how many others.
And Moloch is inside that book.
Was.
You released Moloch?
Way to go.
I didn't read
Wow,
it.
what a way to blame
Dreadful
him
colour all the
immediately.
time.
Where was it?
In a pile with others.
Buffy,
that
you're
were,
figuring it out.
Scanned.
He's in there.
The scanner read the book.
He's gone binary on us.
And it's kind of genius because at least especially in this time, people who used computers were generally people who thirsted for knowledge.
You're gonna
Don't get too close.
release it. I mean,
Maybe
Okay.
ask Willow,
Okay.
the person who's generally good at
So which file do you think it is?
computers.
so they have to obviously rely on their smarts.
Stay away from Willow. It is none of your business.
Well, at least now
It's
you
their
know.
business. I would say it's their business. She's their friend. They want to protect her.
Okay, I'm gonna check the computer lab and you guys call her home.
What concerns me is she was clearly suspicious, but she hasn't gone to talk to Buffy about it. So I'm thinking the creepy guy kidnapped her or is holding her somewhere because they need her for some reason. Yeah, no.
He's not home.
Dave just committed
What did you
suicide.
Willow isn't.
Dave. He's dead.
How?
Well, it looked like suicide. Then get Miss Calendar. Maybe she can help you.
Well, even if she could, how am I going to convince her that there's a demon on the internet?
Okay, fine. Then you can stay here and come up with a better plan.
But I would actually really... Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was actually really good. See, okay, so Willow's going home now, and it's nighttime. So where was she all day? Was she just a bit freaked out and wandered around town, maybe, or went to class? I said, I need you to see me.
Dad, did you forget your keys again?
Quickly get behind. Don't turn around.
No, frick.
There's a demon in the internet.
I know.
Oh, great.
Very
Now
nonchalant.
yeah, the only question is she someone that we haven't bargained on before, or is she just also been pulled in?
I knew this would happen sooner or later. I mean, it's probably a mischief demon, you know, like Kelkor or
It's Moloch.
the Corruptor.
How do you know so much? That's the question.
You don't seem exactly surprised, but... Who are you?
I teach computer science at the local high school.
A profession that hardly lends itself to the casting of bones.
Wrong and wrong, Snobby. Well, I can help, I think. I hope. I mean, well, this is my first real... Do you know how I got in?
He was, scanned, is the term, I believe. Buffy.
Yeah. Not at home. It looks like she was taken somewhere.
Where are you?
CRD? Whatever
I
Molly
appreciate that she told him and let him know.
agreed.
Really like that as well. It's little details of where they rely on each other. I think it shows how much they've built a friendship.
I can't tell you how good it is to see you. With my own two eyes.
Huh. Makes sense.
To be able to walk, to touch.
Oh my word, that look! And
Really?
murder!
The two teenagers down.
Yeah, if it keeps up like this, Sunnydale's not gonna have any students left.
As you're saying that, just to watch Xander uncoordinatedly just fall from the sky.
That would be me.
It just shows how
Here they come.
agile Buffy is.
Pretending you loved me?
I do.
I'm just scared that Willow is gonna let her emotions put her in danger because, like, she's just talking. She's not thinking about how if she sets him off, he could just kill her. She needs to buy time.
Give you everything. I can control the world. Right now, a man in Beijing is transferring money to a Swiss bank account for a contract on his mother's life.
Good for him. We're glad you approve.
Thanks. I can see the pillow getting closer and closer to your
Find another
face.
way in.
Stop Moloch by entering some computer virus?
You've seen way too many movies.
Ah!
Let me leave?
But I love you.
Don't say that. That's a joke. You don't love anything. Never.
Murder Terminator mode activated.
Kalis with a K.
That was the best moment. Ugh, hard. Yeah, literally, yeah.
Yes, literally made of metal.
Where's Xander?
Hey, I gotta hit someone.
Well done.
You thinking, did it work?
He's out of the net.
He's not in the book.
He's not in the book.
Just in the body.
He's bound in that body.
Well, I mean, that means that the body's destroyed, he's gone, though, so that's...
Yeah.
somewhat positive. Oi!
This body is all I have left, but it's enough to crush you.
Take it
Zap him. Oh, well,
That's one way to kill a demon.
Satisfying, oh my goodness.
Can't get out of here fast enough, can you?
Truthfully, I'm even less anxious to be around computers than I used to be.
That's fair.
And the getting of knowledge should be tangible. It should be smelly.
Yeah. I actually kind of agree with
I
the
agree with him
sentiment.
to a degree.
Well, I don't dangle a corkscrew from my ear.
That's not where I dangle it.
Oh, okay.
Malcolm, Mala, whatever he's called. The one boy that's really liked me, and he's a demon robot.
I feel for her.
Did you forget? The one boy I've had the hots for since I moved here turned out to be a man.
Right, and the teacher I had a crush on? Giant praying mantis?
Ah, yeah, you guys are...
Let's face it, none of us are ever going to have a happy, normal relationship.
We're doomed.
Yeah.
It's really sad. That being the ending is everything.
So that was episode 8, I, Robot, Eugene. I like the title. I think it's a very good title. I will say it's considered one of the worst Buffy episodes by a lot of people. I completely disagree, and I've seen quite a few reactors who disagree. And I can see from your face you disagree, so this is going to be a fun discussion. What did you think of this episode?
Currently, I have very bad taste because I think that's my favorite episode now.
This is one of my favorite episodes from season 1. I'm wholeheartedly with you on that. I absolutely love this episode.
Yeah, no, because like, it just had so many good things about it. Like, because it had what I'm really growing to like about Buffy is the fact that it's very timeless. Like, it's addressing things that, even though obviously we're further along in the road with technology,
Yeah.
it's all still very prevalent. It's very prevalent that you can't just assume that someone is who they claim to be online. It's very prevalent that you need to be careful for what influences you and how people will manipulate you. It's like, and to me, there were definitely some points that genuinely felt culty.
Oh yeah. But then it
and
was like that right at the beginning, if you think about it.
yeah,
He is the corruptor. He is Moloch the corruptor. So of course it's
yeah,
going to be very much a cult-esque mentality, like a hive mind.
yeah. And what I also liked is what he like promised to bring to the table for them, because yeah, knowledge was there and all the other things, but the main thing was love, which you know, when you haven't had a lot of life experience, you think like, how can love be a bad thing? How can love be a thing that could be used against you or
Yep.
be used for evil purposes?
Yep.
But it's like, it's such an easy thing to use people for. So
Well,
yeah,
love is one of the most powerful forces in the world. And I think this is a good example of that, because what he said is, what I want in return is your love. And a lot of people crave love, not just from a family member, from someone else, something else to kind of make them feel worthy. And again, they highlighted that the impressionable are the ones that seem to be the most easily corrupted. So in this case, teenage children, when you're going through puberty and you're trying to figure yourself out and all of that type of stuff. And it seems to be highlighting those who may be more on the outskirts of popularity when it comes to
Yeah.
the school and being a teenager. So that was nicely highlighted
Mm.
because I felt, there were very specific people they were choosing, which was obviously Willow, who feels as if no guy or no one really likes her for who she is. And she
Mm.
craves to be wanted beyond, her parents. And then there was Fritz, who yeah, there's Fritz, and then there's Dave.
Yeah,
And
that's the
Dave,
way.
yeah, Fritz was something else. And then Dave obviously was interested because he was corrupted, but was able to fight it at points because he, I guess he didn't really truly believe in the love. He didn't give all of his love, which meant he wasn't fully corrupted. Obviously, that's just me thinking out
Yeah.
loud, really, and saying something. But I like that there were points where he was fighting against it. He was said, I can't
Yeah.
do this. I don't, and then saving Buffy. Really, I know. Obviously, as you said,
Mm.
what shoes she was technically wearing, she should be fine. But obviously, they can't have that in the show. She's got to have some sort of element of danger to what's going on in her life. But yeah,
Mm.
it was interesting who was able to be corrupted. If you look, like it felt like a
Yeah.
very specific look of people.
But at the same time it was very different, which I like, because to me it's like the weakness is when people are isolated, when they don't have good connections with other people. But also there's the other element of everyone has a weakness, so anyone could potentially be corrupted.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just depends on the approach.
I was interested. Do you think this also could be an introverted or introvert person, extroverted kind of discussion where if you're more extroverted, you're less likely possibly to be corrupted because you would have people around you in this case, as you spoke about isolation against someone who's introverted who may not. I'm not saying obviously people who are introverted don't have people, but the quieter you are, the more isolated you make yourself. And I was curious about that. If
Yeah.
maybe these people would have been more introverted people, so they were easier to get to because the access to them is easier.
I mean, I could definitely see that argument. I wouldn't say necessarily always, but I think especially at that age, it's more likely because everything is so much worse when you're a teenager, and
I
that
think it
includes
is.
the feeling of isolation. No, but like, yeah, emotionally, everything feels so much worse.
Yeah.
So like if you think you're isolated and if you are struggling to make friends or you feeling disconnected from people that you used to be connected to,
Yeah.
definitely. And I like I might be in the minority here, but I really like the way that Giles said, oh, for knowledge to be held, there needs to be weight to it, there needs to be a scent to it, and so on. And I do think there's something to be said about how easily consumed knowledge is in today's date and age, and yet you retain very little of it. Like I can think of many times in the past month where I've been like, oh, let me quickly look that up on Google. I cannot tell you what the things are that I looked up on Google
Yeah.
because I had it in the moment, I shared the knowledge, and then I just forgot it again. So I
Yeah.
feel like when
Yeah.
you have to work for that knowledge, you're gonna retain it a little bit better.
That's what I was just thinking when you said that. That's I was thinking of the word you work for it. When something's so easily accessible, it is easy for you to throw that information away because once you've accessed it so easily and you've given it to the relevant people or person, you don't need to remember it. It doesn't need to be stored. When you work for that knowledge and what you want to find out, it's something you remember because it took time and effort. I actually agreed with
Mhm.
Giles to a degree with what he was saying at the end about the whole having a smell and just the importance of it because as much as we do have knowledge at our fingertips, it is easily thrown away as well. And
Mm.
that whole scent and smell thing I think was very important. It also just it works for its time as well. Giles isn't from the era of people who would have used computers. He was from a time before
Yeah.
that. And we know Giles when he finds information out, it's not via the computer, it's via books and things like that.
Books.
That's what he knows. So of course he's
Yeah.
not going to view the same way that Miss Calendar would
Mm.
view it. And I like that juxtaposed between them, because obviously
Yeah.
it lets you know kind of what they're about and like what kind of era they grew up in.
But what I really liked about this, and what I feel like makes this episode stand for me, is the fact that they basically said both extremes are bad. You can't just rely on books. You can't just rely on technology. You need to bring them together, and that's when you get the best results.
As we
So
saw, because they were
yeah,
able to
yeah.
expunge Moloch from, I like that word, from the internet. And I agree, like two extremes, that's why two extremes truly don't work, because they will cancel one another out. You have to find that middle ground. And in this case, this is what they did. And it had to take, obviously, Miss Calendar to come forward and do what she does, and kind of the banter between her and Giles to then realize that middle ground comes. And I just really enjoyed it. There's something about this episode that I just really enjoy. I really enjoyed the comedy.
Yeah.
I think the comedy was
Mm.
great. I think that the message behind it for me is very important to this day now. And there's many messages I found. It was not just the whole be careful of who you talk to on the internet, but as you talk, the extremes of both. And then just things like that. I just found there was very important messaging behind it, but also just how dangerous information can be freely uh, gotten.
Mm. Yeah, and like I really like the introduction of Miss Colander,
Calendar.
you said? Calendar,
Calendar.
sorry about
Yeah. No,
that.
no, it's okay.
Colander.
It's one of these things
Can
that
you imagine?
you have to think about it, because yeah, you have to think about it because you're like, oh, okay, because it's an interesting name as well. And you're like, oh, I think of
Yeah,
a calendar.
yeah. And it's so I liked her. I wasn't sure about her at the start because she was poking a lot of fun at Giles, but then he was poking a lot of fun
Yeah.
at her back. And she was still willing to help at the end. She's not like being immature about it or anything. She's, you know, and the fact that she also is part of their world, which
Yeah.
was a nice surprise.
A nice
And
little red
then
herring as well for a few seconds when she goes, I know. And then you have to
yeah,
go,
because
wait.
yeah, I really like the fact that she wasn't a part of the cult.
Yeah.
She just happened to also know. Um, and then the fact that, as you said, everyone had their moment to shine in terms of
Yeah.
helping the situation, and the fact that also like Xander and Willow are starting to find ways to hold their own in Buffy's world. Like I love that. That was so good, and she got to like pinata him for a few minutes, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, it's really good to
Waited.
see that they've been allowed to grow as characters so freely and organically as well. And as you said, away from Buffy, which is nice. Obviously, they're going to be in scenes together, but we got elements of them by themselves when they've been a central episode for them. And just to see the growth of the characters and what they're able to do is so nice. And it sounds silly, but that of being able to punch someone was also nice. The fact that kind of in a meta way, he called it out to the audience by saying, look, I finally get to be in the action and I'm not the one being hit or, knocked out or anything like that. It's like I'm in the forefront, in the foreground, and I'm helping.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the way that Buffy went about this episode, like, because she was not quite Giles, but she wasn't Willow. She was
Uh,
still trying to figure things out, and yet it shows you that like you don't have to treat people who don't like necessarily understand the internet like idiots. Like
yeah.
it's just not their world. They just need to figure things out, but they're still like if they're smart, they can still follow along and make logical deductions.
Yes,
Because
100%
the
agree.
idiot
And what
is
I like,
quite foolproof. Sorry,
yeah,
yes.
no, it's okay. Don't apologize. What I really liked as well was the level and degrees of them understanding at that moment. Giles and Buffy got it, and Buffy was piecing together the idea of, okay, this is maybe what's happening with the computer, whereas Xander was still completely confused. And I like that. It kept up with what their characters are like. Buffy is actually quite quick on picking things up. Sometimes, yes, it may take her a second or a moment longer than usual, but it was nice to see her piecing it together at the same time as Giles, because then it shows, because Giles is not good with technology. So both of them, all three of them who are not good with technology, figuring it out, and then Xander by saying for those of us who don't understand, like, what do you mean? Because it was nice to say that Xander knows that there's something going on, but doesn't fully understand it. But then they gave you why there is such danger to Moloch being in the internet. Just watching Buffy figure it out, but in such, as you say, such a good way, not being a Giles, not being a Willow, and having that moment of figuring it out for someone who doesn't know anything about technology. Because again, back then, the internet was a thing, but I would say not like it is now. And as you can see, Buffy clearly isn't the type of person that would have sat at a computer like, just
Yeah.
using it. I don't even think she has a computer. I don't think we've seen one, have
Yeah.
we?
No, and the thing is, like, if I'm not mistaken, Buffy came out right around the time where they still had like ads trying to explain to parents why the internet was a good thing. So,
Yeah, they would have, yeah.
you know, it's quite like it's quite a new thing in that context.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was such a strong episode on so many levels for me. I really liked it, which is surprising because I was very worried going into it, knowing that Willow was gonna be the focus. I was worried it would be too painful for me
Well, I
to be
kind of
able
gave
to
you
enjoy to
hints.
the fullest.
I kind of gave you a hint
Yeah.
to how you would feel if a Willow-centric episode. I'm just really happy you enjoyed this because it's one of my favorite episodes from season one. I was really hoping you would like it, just because I still to this day enjoy it so much. I would put it right now from the 8 that we've seen behind which, because obviously there are so many things I like about this episode. But also something I found so interesting was in the background characters, everything that was happening to them, if you notice, got progressively worse and worse. So it started from that boy's paper being changed to Nazism being model society and things like that, to then the nurse talking about how she obviously gave someone the wrong medication that they're clearly allergic to, and then to a guy putting a hit out on his mother, but it got progressively. And also at one point when Giles, before Jenny spoke to Giles when she came into the room, it said something about serial killers being released from prison or something like
Yeah.
that. Their records being
No,
changed.
it said all the data about serial killers had been downloaded.
Ah, that was what it was. And that's something I don't know if I've personally ever paid too much attention to. So it was really interesting watching how dangerous, considering they spoke about it as well, to then give it to the audience by, in a very subtle way, you had to make sure you paid attention, which is something that I think you know that I love, which is paying attention to the background of things. And this is one of those really important episodes that you have to pay attention to what's also going on around you, because you see the progression. And that, to me, was a very subtle but very smart thing this episode did,
Yeah.
which made it even better for me, because I was like, oh, like you can sense the danger building.
And there's two things that I really hope I don't forget to mention now, because the one thing is I was very grateful that this didn't happen in today's version of the internet, because he could already do so much damage. Could you imagine what he could do with today's
Exactly.
internet? And the way I really appreciated that Buffy and Xander both, even though like they're not fully into the internet and everything like that, they're very aware of how many connections like if you have an internet
Yeah.
connection, how many different dangerous moments like problems there could be because of it.
Yeah. Because everything's connected.
Yeah.
All the cameras, Buffy kept pointing that out and things. And also, if it weren't Buffy pointing it out, we got to see it because Moloch was watching, just to show that how connected, even back then, everyone was to the internet. And then you think
Yeah.
about, well, if they remade it now, just how much worse it would be.
But what it was so funny to me, the moments where Xander was like, "Oh, we English very well," or something like that.
Yeah,
Because
that was an amazing moment. Oh, I love
it
that.
made me
She
think
came in
of.
so suspicious of them, and then he was like, "Our English speaking," whatever he said in that moment. That was such a good Xanderism.
And I remember like when I was very young, like grade 2 or so on, when we used to tease each other about learning English, we would say, "I've learned English very properly since I was twice." Like that was
Yeah,
the thing that people used to say.
that was
But
so good. That
yeah.
moment was. There were so many good moments and so many laugh out loud moments, including and then some dark moments. That Dave moment was so dark.
So dark.
And
And
especially
I
with Buffy
really kind
finding
of
him.
liked it. Mm. And oh, that was another thing that I wanted to mention. It was so clever as well because then you kind of put together the like all the information on serial killers and their like modus
Yes.
operandi basically had been downloaded, and faking suicide is genuinely like one of those modus operandi. So it was also just a nice callback to that.
How Fritz was given away from the first moment we're introduced to him. He
Oh,
is creepy from the
yeah,
first
no,
moment, which means he was corrupted probably the same time Willow was. He must have been online either at school, because they seem to be at school sometimes really late, or at home. But the fact that he was corrupted straight away and how quickly, that's what was scary to me as well, how quickly Moloch was able to corrupt so many people. Because
yeah,
Fritz was intense.
he was very intense, but I feel like that shows you that like knowledge can be used very badly by people who intend to do this. So from the start,
Yeah.
like I don't doubt that he probably would have gone down a dark path without
Yeah.
encouragement.
Yeah, I think
It
he was
just
heading
kind of
that
gave
path
that vibe.
anyway. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, that's also, I think, a good thing to think about is he was always shown in a very sinister, menacing way, whereas Dave never was. And no one else who was corrupt was shown really in a very sinister way. It was only Fritz, so he probably would have gone down a very dark path, already was heading towards it and has very dark thoughts. It's kind of like, I'm kind of glad you're not in the show anymore. Thank you for that one episode. But
Yeah.
bye bye, Fritz.
Um,
Oh,
but
no Cordelia,
one
by the
thing,
way, or Angel.
yeah,
Just
that's
remember
true.
that.
Just
No
a vague
Cordelia
mention
again.
of it.
Yeah, I was just thinking there
Um,
is no. I don't know why all of a sudden she came into my head when I spoke about Fritz, but I was like, oh yeah, which is interesting because absolutely love Cordelia at this point, like from where we are. So it's interesting that I just
oh,
realized that it's 2 episodes now that she's not been in.
Brennan, yeah. Maybe
Is it
she
two
had
now?
like
Yeah.
another gig or something.
Um, she has done a podcast and Charisma has spoken about it. There is a podcast called Buffering, the Vampire Slayer, which is spoiler free.
Oh,
So you can like, listen to the episodes without being spoiled, apart from one time where one of them spoiled something, but it was during a live. So that's very much down the line, very much down the line. But yeah, it's a spoiler-free podcast. It's finished now. They've done all 7 seasons. They and
wow.
Yeah, so it's interesting because they do interview a lot of the cast, a lot of the cast. But obviously,
Really cool.
I think you would really like it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I think she just wasn't contracted for these episodes, or they didn't need her at this point. And I can't remember what she spoke about, if it was because they were still figuring her out. I doubt it. They probably like knew at this
I
point
mean,
how well she would come across, because Charisma Carpenter is
yeah.
phenomenal as Cordelia, and you do
She
need
has a lot
Cordelia
of
in your
charisma. Sorry, I
literally. That's
couldn't.
why she has that name. But yeah,
But
sorry,
also,
it took me on a weird tangent that she wasn't in this episode, when actually she would have been pretty funny to have in the episode because of how she is. But I think it would have been a distraction at the same time.
no, but I was just about to argue like they spent all their time in either the library or the computer room, both places she would
She
not
would
be
never
in.
go. She doesn't like going there. Yeah.
So
Anything else about the episode you would like to discuss, or something that caught your interest?
yes, just one more thing. I really, really, really like the fact that we got the look of the demon originally. And the fact that he's so clearly is meant to resemble vampires, but just a more distilled version of it, you could almost say, because I think like maybe the lore is different on vampires here, but like vampires are supposed to be some sense of demonic. So to have that vague like connection in the way that they look, like it's not carbon copy, but it's definitely in the same family. So
Yeah,
it was just very interesting to me. I like that.
I wonder if it also goes by Italian vampire lore as well, because it was in Italy. I'm not saying I don't even think there was that turn of that century, that place in Italy. Or I don't know if they were fully correct. They weren't fully correct in the Italian, but they were pretty much like the subtitles weren't, as we know, 100%. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm also curious if it was like amalgamation of a demon vampire hybrid, like their idea an Italian folklore because of where it was
Mm,
set. So I was curious
yeah.
about that. Also,
Sense.
something I really liked, which I think it's now become back in the zeitgeist, very much prevalent in the last decade or so, with the Spider-Man
Mm.
reference when she says her spidey
Yes.
senses are tingling, because that was such a great. And when she said it was a pop culture reference, that was me why also Buffy works is again with the smart writing. The fact that she had to say that to Giles, it just and it's the fact that it's now so prevalent to this day, considering how popular Spider-Man is again.
Yeah, and I feel like that maybe is the stronger moments is where they reference things that are still have
Yeah.
a cult followings, basically. Like
100%
if they
agree.
were to
100% agree.
ever reference Doctor Who, they would probably still be good, because it's come back again. Well, not
Oh,
come
yeah,
back
that's
again, but they
true.
had the
That is
reboot.
true.
So
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. That was episode 8, and we will be back soon with episode 9.